Hello, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. How are you all doing today? And I'm so excited to be with you here this morning. I'm excited, I'm grateful, I'm thankful to be with you here this morning. So let's confirm that we are good to go. So if you can see my screen and you can hear my voice clearly, please type in hi in the comment section, as this will give me a feedback that we are good to go this morning. So I would like to see some comments, please. I would like to see some feedbacks. Can you hear me clearly? Can you see my screen? And let's get this party started. All right, so I'm trying to load up the chat box, and let's see what we have here. Okay, so I can see. All right, so we have a handful of comments here. Thank you for. Okay, 825, good morning to you. 00191 2749, thank you very much. Biskras 07000, good morning to you too. Okay, so what do we have here again? 868, Mr. Mika, thank you very much. How are you doing today? 2799. 868 once again. Hey Carrie, how are you doing this morning? Carrie, glad to have you around, and thanks for that confirmation. Oluwafemi, how are you? Thank you very much. Good morning. I'm glad to have you around, Femi. Good to see you today. All right, so I think we are on a very positive start to the day. So as usual, my name is Sheriff Daramola, and I'm going to be your host for the next 1 hour, where we shall be evaluating the financial market from through a comprehensive price action based technical analysis. In this session, we are going to thoroughly examine the financial instruments on our watch list from a technical perspective. And in fact, we have about 5 of them on our watch list. We have the USDJPY, the GBPUSD, the XAUUSD, the USOILSPOT, and of course the USTech100. So we are going to be preparing ahead of the upcoming trading session, and in fact, behind the scenes, I've already conducted a comprehensive analysis on this instrument. So through this video, through the session, I'm going to be sharing with you my findings, accompanied by simple setups that will enable us to effectively navigate the market structures. And as always, we rely heavily on trend lines, key levels, and chart patterns, which will provide us with a valuable insight into the historical price movement. And for those who are joining us for the first time, you are highly welcome on board. Well, what we simply do here is to gather together on a daily basis as a community in anticipation of the New York sessions. And during this time, we will review and manage our current positions, while we also aim to position ourselves strategically for the day's trading session. So you are highly welcome on board. It might look a little bit overwhelming at first, since you are just joining us, and it will take some time for you to acclimatize into our style of trading. But trust me, the more time you spend with us, the better you'll become, and be able to eventually use the information you have gathered here to make your own independent decision. So once again, you are highly welcome. Well, okay, so let's kickstart the session, and you know how we do it. The first thing we want to be doing is to keep tabs with the fundamentals by checking the economic calendar. And we all know here that these fundamental factors often manifest on the chart in technical patterns and price movement. And by monitoring the economic calendar, we can easily identify potential correlations between key economic releases and specific technical patterns on the chart. And by doing this, we can easily position ourselves in such a way that we can capture any potential move prior, during, and even after this event. So with that being said here, let's dive right into the economic calendar for today. So for today, July 5, that is Wednesday, we only have one high impact event, and that is coming in from the US economic docket. And what we have here is the FOMC minute, which will be coming up in about 6 to 7 hours from now, and this is going to be released by the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve, and it's going to give us a clear guide into the future US interest rate policies. So because of this significance, majority will be looking forward to this event, and in fact we are likely going to be seeing the reflection of this anticipation on the chart as probably a consolidation phase, but we are going to be listening to the chart to give us an idea of how we are going to be positioning ourselves ahead of today. So with that being said, here let's dive right into the business for today. And as usual, the first instrument we are going to be taking on today is, of course, the US oil spot. Well, on the US oil spot, we have been witnessing quite an interesting situation here since the beginning of the week, as we have been buying the US oil spot. There was no point we were thinking of selling, and we had structures that we were using to guide our trading activity, and I shared with you on Monday that we took advantage of some buy positions here to added more positions at the breakout of the $71 area before we begin to see selling pressure taking us out of that position. And throughout the course of yesterday's trading session, we saw how price action fell into a choppy situation around this area, dropping back into our key level for the week just around that $70 area, and the appearance of buy pressure above the structure was a clear sign that we might likely be seeing a trend continuation to the upside. And during the live session yesterday, we were around this point when I told you I'm already in a buy position, and I told you all that we are going to be looking out for more opportunities at the breakout of the $71 level, or if price comes back to retest the structure, we will be capturing that move to the upside, and that was exactly what happened here. And if you are taking advantage of these opportunities, well, the first one will have given about 60 pips, and the second one gave about 30 pips in profit before this whole bearish momentum began. So for those who had been part of this profitable journey, well done to you for being on standby to have caught that move. As at right now, if you had moved your stop losses accordingly, you must have been taking out at worst case scenario break even if you moved it to your entry point. So well done for being on standby to have caught that move. Now that we are going into the New York session today, what is going to be our plans? What are our expectations based on this current market structure? Well, if I zoom into what has been going on here since the beginning of the week, you would acknowledge that price action has remained above our week's key level at this $70 mark. And you know how we do it whenever we identify key levels for the week. As long as price action remains above the key level, we continue to look out for patterns and structures that will support the idea of buying. And if you look at the US oil spot here, price has been trading above that $70 mark, giving us signs that buyers still have a say in this particular market. Now, if I zoom out further on the 1 hour time frame, remember at the beginning of the week we were able to acknowledge an ascending channel after connecting the series of higher highs and higher lows, and this started a couple of weeks ago, giving us a clue into how strong the buyers are. And for the fact that price action remains above the support line of that ascending channel, we have no other choice than to continue to look out for more opportunities to buy the US oil spot. So now zooming into the current structure here, so I will just zoom things in so that you can see things more clearly. The situation here following the impulsive bullish move from that $70 mark area, as you can see, and since price tested the $71.40 level yesterday, we saw this whole consolidation phase, bringing price to respect the support line one more time, which was followed with this impulsive bullish move to the upside. And in fact, I had a buy stop order above the $71 area to capture that move. and currently I'm running with about how many pips now? About 23, 22 pips in profit at this point. And for those who are taking advantage of this buy position after the rejection of this level, in fact, I got some traders who took advantage of that area around this point. Well done to you guys for being on standby to have caught that move. And for those who had missed out on this opportunity, let's see how we can maximize the potential of this bullish move for today. Now, the first thing I noticed here this morning as regards to this current structure was these lower highs here. And I connected the series of lower highs to give me a descending trend line within this whole choppy situation that was going on here since the later part of the New York session yesterday. And with the breakout of the structure, it's for me a clear sign that that trend line was no longer strong enough to negate the bullish attempt, and there is a chances that price will continue to the upside, and there could be some retest of structure actually before some buy pressure resumes. So I'm still going to keep that idea open, and I want you to do so as well. So even if price drops back into this area, it's still going to remain bullish as long as price remain above that descending trend line. So we continue to look out for more opportunities if drops into that structure. But if price action does not drop and continues to climb up, since we're already profitable on the US All Spot so far this week, we could afford to have a buy stop order above the $71.40 level to capture that bullish move to the upside, while we also look out for more opportunities to maximize that move at the breakout of the $71.80 level, which happens to be the highest level where price action has been good this week. So now for those who are still fresh in taking any position here, well, I would just suggest you hold on for something like a breakout retest before joining any bullish move at this point, as you will need some confirmation to join that one. So that is how we are going to be buying the US All Spot for today on the on this 1 hour time frame. So you do want to mark these levels out on your charts. The first one, very important, is this descending trend line, as you can see here. Then the second one is going to be the $71 area. As long as price remains above these structures, we shall feel comfortable buying the US All Spot. Now, in as much as we're looking out for buying opportunities in this market, we cannot ignore the potentials of sellers, as we have been seeing some simple structures here that is screaming selling at one point, as we need buying momentum to break out of the structures to negate that idea of selling. But as long as price remain below the structures, we still want to keep the idea of selling open to as well. So what are we going to be looking at here for us to consider selling the US All Spot for today? Well, remember we had an ascending channel, and of course we also have the support line of that ascending channel figured out here. So what we are going to be doing to sell the US All Spot is to see price action breach the support line. And one interesting thing about the support line here is the fact that it also shares a confluence with that $70.75 area. So for me to start considering selling the US All Spot today, I want to see price break through the trend line and of course the $70.75 level to start considering selling the US All Spot. Now, if price drops below the trend line and the $70.75 area, remember we are not getting too excited here. We want to remain patient, waiting for confirmations to happen, which definitely will show up on a much more lower time frame. And to do this, we scale down into the lower time frame. It could be your 5 minutes, 10 minutes or 15 minutes time frame to look out for signs that buyers are finding it difficult to climb back above that trend line, and this would reflect on the chart as a retest of structure. It could be the retest of the trend line or the retest of the $70.75 area to look out for that opportunity to sell. And in fact, if this bearish momentum continues to the downside, we have the privilege of maximizing the potential of this move, as we have a couple of key levels to guide to add more position if price action breaks through that structure. We also have the key level for the week at the $70 area. If it breaks down the structure to the downside, we will have no other choice than to add more sell position to our existing trade. But I doubt if a sell position will happen at this current market structure. But if it does happen, let's be on standby to catch this move. But at this point, we still remain bullish as long as price remain above that ascending trend line we identified earlier. And I told us yesterday, I reminded us that the OPEC Plus will be having a meeting today, which is coming up later today, and it's a 2 days meeting. It's coming today and tomorrow, and everyone in the market is looking forward to what the outcome of that meeting will be. But there is a general consensus that there might likely be a cut in oil production. Of course, you know, the OPEC Plus have been trying to manipulate prices to increase the demand for oil artificially, and having a target of $80 mark at their radar. We are likely going to be expecting a oil cut, and we have been seeing some traction in anticipation of this event, which we are seeing right now. So let's continue to hold on to this bullish bias on this current market structure. So that is my view here on the US oil spot. If you have any questions, feel free to let me know in the comment section. So I will be taking the next 10 to 15 seconds to see if there are any questions, and if possible, use that time to mark out these levels on your chart or screenshot my screen if you want to. All right, so I see your comment, Oluwafemi. Thank you very much. I'm doing very well here. Thank you very much. Flacol 8, good morning to you. Glad to have you around. 6585, good morning. Tommy B, how are you doing this morning? Can 786, good morning to you. All right, so in the absence of no questions, I want to assume that we're on the same page. So we shall be moving into the next instrument for today. So the next instrument on our watch list is the USTech 100. So here we are on the USTech 100. In fact, we have been enjoying some bearish momentum at this current point in time. So I would like us to quickly run through what our expectation was since the beginning of the week, and what we actually saw that incited the idea of selling the USTech 100 at this point in time. Well, the first thing we saw on this 1 hour time frame at the beginning of the week was the fact that price action was trapped within a range. In fact, we had an initial smaller range that was between the 15,200 level and of course the 15,170 area. And this expanded, as you saw here, into the 15,230 and the 15,150 area to give us how strong the indecision in this particular market is. And to help us guide our trading activity for yesterday's trading session, we anticipated two structures here. The first one is this ascending trend line after we connected a series of higher lows here. Then we also connected the series of lower highs to give us this descending trend line that you can see here. And one of the things we said about the structure yesterday's trading session was that we are going to be waiting for a confirmations to happen. So we are either looking for buying opportunities at the breakout retest to join a bullish momentum, or we're looking out for a breakdown of the resistance line retest to join the bearish move to the downside. And in fact, that was what happened here. As you can see, during the early hours of today, it was not until today we begin to see some traction. We saw the breakdown retest of that structure to trigger our first sell position for this week. Then we also had the privilege of adding more position. Remember, I told us all that we are going to be maximizing the potential of this bearish move if price action continues to break down structures like the 15,170 and the 15,150 area. So it has been quite a profitable sell position for us so far for today. So at this point in time, if you are taking advantage of all of these opportunities, at least you would have a minimum of 3 positions running, where the first position will currently be running with about 70 pips. The second positions at the breakdown of the 15,170 will be running with about 50 pips there. And the third position's breakdown of the 15,150 is running with about 30 pips in profit. So we have a roughly of over 150 pips in profit on all 3 positions. So congrats to everyone who are taking advantage of this selling opportunity in this particular market. So you know how we do it now. The next thing we want to be doing right now is to secure this current position. You know how we do it in this community. As soon as price action moves significantly well in our favor, we move all stop losses to secure the current position. And in fact, we'll want to give room for price action to breathe on this one. So I will be suggesting anywhere right above the 15,150. Let's give enough room for price action to breathe here, as we could have a trend continuation to the downside as price action plays out. So with a well secured position at this juncture, what is going to be our plans for today? And for those who had missed out on this opportunity, of course, we want to be checking in to see how we can capture more selling opportunity if price action decides to go to the downside. So what are we going to be looking at here? Well, first of all, I want to take us into the higher time frame so that we can see things from an holistic standpoint, where we will see how the current market structure has evolved into what we are seeing on the lower time frame. So in order to do this, we are going to be going into the 4 hours time frame, and this is what I shared with us here during our live session on Monday. And the first thing we observed here was the fact that price action has been bullish, and in fact we had a couple of trend lines here to emphasize the momentum, as we saw higher lows consistent since the beginning of the month of May. Now, when we zoomed into the current structure, that is taking into consideration what has been going on in this market for the last 3 weeks now, we noticed that as soon as price action tested the 15,250 level, that was during the second week of the month of June, we saw increased selling pressure around that area, which pushed price to the downside. And the same thing happened towards the end of the month, as we saw price action gradually approach the 15,250. But in this case scenario, it didn't get close before we begin to see this consolidation phase happen, giving us a clue that participants are not sure if price will get back into the structure or it will drop to the downside. Then in addition to this one here, if we consider the impulsive move that started here on the last week of last month, you would agree with me that a retracement phase is long overdue here. And with the continued selling pressure around this area, we might likely be seeing a retracement phase. This is what I said yesterday, and I told us all that if price drops below this trend line, we shall be seeing a potential retracement move where price action could come back into that key level at the $15,000 mark, where I said we are going to be waiting to see how price action reacts to that zone. And remember, that zone was broken on Friday of last week's trading session, and we might likely see buy pressure resume again to incite a trend continuation to the upside. But if price action drops below the 15,000 level, then a retest of structure will give us more opportunity to join a sell-off in this market. So this is what we are looking at from the higher time frame, and in fact we're already in a sell position. We've agreed to move our stop losses. So let's see how far this retracement phase is going to go. Will it get to as far as that $15,000 mark, which might dovetail to about 180 pips profit, or is it going to break through to the downside to incite more sell-off, or are we going to be seeing a reversal pattern above the $15,000 mark? So these are the questions we are going to be asking ourselves ahead of the New York session today. Now, with the information we have gathered here on the 4 hours time frame, I would like us to scale down into the 1 hour time frame to position ourselves for today. But before I scale down into the 1 hour time frame, there is a level along the 15,100 area which I would love us to mark out, as this will be a yardstick to guide a further bearish momentum to the downside. So I will mark this level out, very important, and I will show you why that level is marked out in a moment. So just mark this level out on your chart right now, and this is why I have marked this level out. Now, if we go to as far back as on the 18th of June, you will see how this level was a strong selling niche. And since the breakthrough to the downside, price has remained below that structure before it was broken here on Fridays of last week's trading session. And right now, price is back into that area. In fact, we have been noticing some buy pressure around that area since the beginning of today. And let's see how the market will react to the structure. Are we going to find buy pressure here? If we do find buy pressure, we might see this as a move to retest the trend line here to incite a sell-off, or if it breaks out, then we look out for buying opportunity. But if it breaks down the 15,100, then we will be getting ready to add more position to our current sell position here. So the 15,100 level is an area we want to focus on for today. Mark this level out on your chart, very, very important. So with that information there, let's scale down into the 1 hour time frame. So we are back to the 1 hour time frame right now. So there's nothing much to say here but to just extend this descending trend line that we have here. So it's still possible that price could come into any of this area to incite some sell-off in this market. So let's also keep that in mind too as well. So we're still looking bearish on this one. Move your stop losses accordingly, and let's see what will happen going forward. So these are my views on the US Tech 100. If you have any questions whatsoever, feel free to let me know in the comment section. So I will be taking the next 10 to 15 seconds to read through the charts and see if there are any comments, and you can as well take that time out to mark these levels out on your chart or screenshot my screen so that you can use them as reference point when you're about to make your independent decision on your account. Yes, hello, Khan. Hello, Libadate. Good morning to you. Thank you very much for that greetings. I really appreciate that. 0156, good morning to you. Nest 57, good morning to you. Glad to have you around. Okay, is about the Abdullah. All right, okay. Thanks for the thumbs up. Flak 018, good morning to you. All right. So, in the absence of no questions, I want to assume that we're on the same page here. So, I will be moving on to the next instrument for today. So the next instrument on our watch list for today is the GBPUSD, and in fact we have an interesting situation going on in this market at this point in time, as we have been witnessing some choppy situation go on following that bullish move we took advantage of yesterday. So first of all, let's run through what we saw at the beginning of the week and what brought up the idea of the buys we took advantage of, and of course the sell positions we took advantage of in this market. So firstly, at the beginning of the week, we acknowledge, hold on a second, let me extend this one out a little bit. So we acknowledge price action was caught within a range that was between the 1.27070 level and of course the 1.26880 level. And in fact, we already had a flat channel at the beginning of the week, giving us something to guide our trading activity. Now, we saw the breakdown of the support line here, which happened earlier before our live session yesterday on Monday. And I was of the opinion that we might likely be seeing a retest of structure to happen in anticipation of a trend continuation, and as a result of that, I didn't take advantage of this bullish move here. Now, as we saw what happened here, since that Monday, price action had consistently found higher lows in this particular market. And in fact, one important thing that happened here, despite the following the higher lows, is the fact that we had a breakout of that descending trend line we identified on the higher time frame. Now, for the sake of clarity and for those who are not part of the live session on Monday, let's run through the 4 hours time frame quickly so that I can show you what we saw at the beginning of the week. Now, on the 4 hours time frame here, this was what we saw at the beginning of the week. Though price action has been bullish, we took into consideration the activity of price action since the last week of the month of May, and we were able to connect a series of higher lows to give us this ascending trend line you can see on your screen here. And in fact, this further buttresses how strong the buyers are in this particular market. Now, in addition to that trend line there, we also had a couple of other structures like the 1.2600 area, which became a platform for buying opportunity in the last couple of weeks. Then we also had our key level for the week situated at the 1.2700 area. And you know how we use our key levels in this community. When price remains above the key level, we look out for opportunities to buy. We look out for structures, patterns that support buying opportunity. And if price drops below the key level, we look out for structures and patterns that will support a bearish opportunity. Now, with the situation here, we saw how price action was trading around our key level throughout the first half of the week, giving us a consolidation phase, then a breakout, giving us that opportunity to buy that we saw there. Then in addition to that one was this descending trend line, which we identified after seeing what has been going on in the last 2 weeks in this market. And we finally saw that breakout of that descending trend line here yesterday. And with the situation here, if we look at things from a technical standpoint, whenever we have a breakout of a key structure like this, we expect that one point in time, price action is likely going to come back, retest the structure to incite another wave of bullish momentum. And it appears price action is gradually unfolding towards that direction here as we begin to see a choppy situation go on above our key level. And for the fact that price action remains above our key level and this ascending trend line, we would have no other choice than to look out for buying opportunities in this market. And the only thing that will make us sell the GBP USD today is to see price action break through the key level at the 1.27 with continued selling pressure below the structure before joining any bearish move to the downside. So we really want to mark these levels out on our chart and use it to guide our trading activity for this week. So now let's scale down into the 1 hour time frame to see how participants in this market has been reacting to this current market structure. So now scaling down into the 1 hour time frame. Where is my 1 hour time frame here? I missed that. Okay. All right. So we have the 1 hour time frame now on the chart right now. And let me just zoom right into the current market structure. That is what has been going on since the beginning of this week. Now, the first thing you will observe here is that ascending trend line, which we identified yesterday, remember? So we connected a series of higher lows, giving us a beautiful ascending trend line to work with. And with the situation we have here, what this simply means is that as long as price remains above the trend line, we shall feel comfortable in a buy position. And one interesting thing about this trend line is the fact that it also shares a confluence with that key level and that resistant line at the beginning of the week, which is situated at the 1.27070 level. Now remember, it might look a little bit confusing here. Let me show you what I'm talking about here. This was our resistant line at the beginning of the week. That is the 1.27070 level. And we saw the breakout of the structure here yesterday. And you know, from a technical standpoint, a breakout of structure normally sees price do a retest of structure to incite the trend continuation to the upside. And since price action has come back into that structure, we have been seeing the presence of buyers around this area, now giving us a temporary demand zone to work with. And as long as price action remains above this area, we continue to look out for buying opportunity. So it makes quite a whole lot of sense buying around this area. Then we should be having our stop loss sitting anywhere below this demand zone. We of course want to give room for price action to breathe, and that will be dovetailing to about 10 to 15 pips thereabout. And let's see how price action will play out from the structure. So I'm of the opinion that buying the GBPUSD makes quite a whole lot of sense at this juncture on the market. Then I'm also looking out for more opportunities to maximize this bullish move if price action goes on to break out, retest the 1.27200 level, and if it goes on to break out the 1.274, which happens to be the highest point price action has been for this week, we will be looking out for more opportunities to buy the GBPUSD. So on the GBPUSD for today, we remain bullish on this instrument. So we have something that is guiding our bullish momentum here, which is the ascending trend line that we spotted here. So as long as it remains above this trend line, we feel comfortable buying the GBPUSD. Now, in as much as we're looking out for buying opportunities in this market, you know how we do it in this community. We also want to keep tabs with the potentials of sellers coming in too. So if sellers are going to be jumping into this trade, how do we intend to sell? What do we want to see on this chart that will make us change that idea from bullish to bearish? Well, like we all know, since we have an ascending trend line, we will have no other choice than to see a breakdown of the structure before considering selling the GBPUSD. And remember, we are not getting too excited at this point. When we have a breakdown of the trend line, we shall scale down into our lower time frame, like your 5 minutes, 10 or 15 minutes time frame, to look out for confirmations that buyers are finding it difficult to climb back above that trend line, and this would reflect on the chart as a retest of structure followed by continued selling pressure, after which we can join a bearish move to the downside. So if this does not happen, we are not going to be considering selling at the GBPUSD at all for today. So let's see how price action will play out from this current market structure, and trust me, we already have a setup that we can use to guide our trading activity for today. So let's mark these levels out on our chart. We continue to remain bullish as long as price remain above both the trend line and the key level for today. And if we have a slice through, price takes us out of our buy positions, then we get ready to sell at the breakdown retest of the key level. So let's mark this out on our chart, and if you have any questions whatsoever, feel free to let me know in the comment section. So I will be taking the next 10 to 15 seconds to check the comment section to see if there are any questions, while I also give you the time to mark out these levels on your chart. All right, so in the absence of no questions, I want to assume that we're on the same page. Now we begin to see some selling pressure resume in the market, which looks as if it is breaking down the structure. Please don't let us get too excited at this point. We'll still need some confirmations to happen before joining any position. So we scale down into our lower time frame. Look out for retest of structure before joining any move at this point. So let's keep this in mind. Don't let's get too excited or get caught up in the fear of missing out on this one. So our next instrument for today is the XAUUSD, and in fact we have been profitable this week so far. We have been buying the XAUUSD, and let's run through how the week started for us on this commodity. So initially we had a range where price action was caught within the $1,920 and the $1,914 area, which was duly identified at the beginning of the week. Then prior to our live session on Monday, I told you I was in a sell position here, breakdown of structure, and I was thinking that price will retest the structure to incite a trend continuation. But during that same live session, I told us all that the appearance of buy pressure here might likely signal a bullish move. And for the fact that price action is sitting on our key level for the week, which is situated at the 1,912 area, this could further emphasize a bullish move. So what I said here on Monday was that we are going to be positioning ourselves just right above the $1,914.50 level to capture that move to the upside, and this was exactly what happened, and we had the privilege of maximizing the potential of this move by adding more position at the breakout of the 1,920 level, and of course the breakout of the 1,925 area before this old sell pressure resumed to take us out of our position. And during our live session yesterday, we begin to see another wave of bullish momentum build up after noticing the continued buy pressure around this area. And I told you I missed out on this opportunity, as this was in the midnight from the part of my own world here. So I was fast asleep, so I missed out on that opportunity. But I mentioned that we can still look out for more opportunities to buy if price action goes on to break out of the 1,930. But one thing we saw here yesterday was that as soon as price got into the 1,930, we saw another selling pressure come in, and this is peculiar with what happened at the beginning of the week. We saw selling pressure here. We saw the same thing happen here yesterday to call our attention to a potential bearish move at this point in time. As we can see, buyers are struggling to break out of that structure, and this led into a consolidation phase yesterday, as we saw price action ranged between the 1,930 and the 1,925, and this was as a result of low liquidity in the market. Remember, the US market was closed in observation of the Independence holiday, and as a result of that, there were no participants to push price to any direction. Now, the situation we have this morning, though I had a sell position this morning, it was taken out at break even. And so while trying to decipher what could be our plans for today, I was able to come up with a new structure that we are going to be using to guide our trading activity today. And that is this descending trend line you can see on your screen. Now, if we connect the series of lower highs, we had this descending trend line. And what thing we saw like 3 to 4 hours ago was a significant breakout of that trend line and the 1925. And in fact, we saw the breakout and we saw the retest of structure for me to consider buying the XAUUSD. And I also had a key level here at the 1928, where a further breakout of the structure will welcome more opportunities to maximize this bullish move to the upside. So at this point in time, things are looking very bullish at this point in time. So as long as price remain above this descending trend line, we look out for buying opportunities. Now, for those who had missed out on this opportunity, well, the move is still very early, so we still have the privilege of joining any potential move to the upside here if price action will go in that direction. So we are going to remain patient to wait for more structures to mature before joining or adding more position to our existing trade. Now, one of the things we are going to be looking at today, since we already have a breakout of a key structure, there is a chance that price goes to come back to retest this level. So if we start seeing selling pressure, we need not panic. Let's keep calm and wait to see how the selling pressure will go and where it will culminate for us to know what our next line of action will be. So as we all know, as long as price remains above this trend line, we shall feel comfortable in a buy position. So even if price drops to the downside here, there's still a chance we could see the resumption of some buy pressure around this area to incite a trend continuation to the upside. And in fact, we have multiple key levels here that we are going to be using to maximize this bullish move to the upside. So we have the 1928 level, we also have the 1930 level, and of course we have the 1933 level to capitalize on this potential move if price action continues to find higher highs. So let's mark these levels out on our chart and use it as a reference point to guide our trading activities for today. Now, our stop losses should be somewhere right below the previous low here or below the trend line, which will be dovetailing to about 30 to 35p stop loss. And let's see how price action will play out from this area. Now, considering selling the XAUUSD, personally, I wouldn't be selling the XAUUSD unless I see price action slice through the 1920 level. And not only if these buy positions here are taken out, will I consider selling the XAUUSD today. So I want to see a breakdown of that structure happen before considering selling the XAUUSD. So when the breakdown happens, you know how we do it. We scale down into our lower time frame to look out for retest of structure. It will be the retest of the 1920, the retest of the trend line here. Most importantly, we want to see continued selling pressure, giving us signs that buyers are finding it difficult to climb back above that descending trend line to give us an opportunity to join the bearish move to the downside. So let's mark these levels out. That is the only way we are going to be looking out for selling opportunities in this particular market. So these are my views here on the XAUUSD. If you have any questions, feel free to let me know in the comment section, and trust me, I'm here and willing to be of help in that regard. So I will be taking the next 10 to 15 seconds to see if there are any questions, while you can also use that time to mark out these levels on your chart as we continue to monitor price action. Right, so in the absence of no questions, we move on to the USDJPY. Now on the USDJPY, we have seen how price action has been range bound since the beginning of the week. In fact, we have a very wide one here, and that is the between the 144.690 and the 144.200 level, which happens to be our key level for the week. And with this situation here, it is quite clear that the market is indecisive at this point in time. And you know how we do it whenever we have this kind of range. We want to remain patient, waiting for structures to mature. And one of the things we are going to be looking out for is either a breakout of the resistance line to give us an opportunity to buy, or the breakdown of the support line to give us an opportunity to sell. But while I was trying to decipher what will happen today on the USDJPY, this morning it was around this area I was contemplating on how to position myself for today. And one thing I said is, am I going to wait for price action to break out of the resistance line before start thinking of buying? That is, if we look at the distance of price from this level into that area, it was about 35 pips. Or am I going to wait for the breakdown of the 144.200 before considering selling, which is about 40 pips in that regard? So it doesn't make quite a lot of sense. So I wanted to capture the potential of where price action is likely going to go even before it breaks out the structure. And to do that, I was able to identify a simple setup that we are going to be using to guide our trading activities for today. And the setup here is this ascending trend line after connecting the series of higher lows in the last 24 hours. So I had a bullish trend line that you can see here, and coupled with that one was a key level which has been a major determinant of price action since Monday, and that is around the 144.450 level. So what I was looking out for here is that if price action goes on to stay above this level, leading to the breakout of the 144.690, I'm going to be looking out for opportunities to buy, while I look out to add more positions if price action breaks out of that 144.900 zone at this point, which of course never happened. And the contrary here was if price breaks through that trend line, then below the 144.450 retest of structure will be giving me a confirmation to sell. And since then, I have joined a bearish move to the downside, and I have since moved my stop losses to my entry point to secure this current sell position. Now, with the situation we have here, first of all, if you are taking advantage of that sell position, well done to you for being on standby to have caught that opportunity, as you will currently be running with, hold on again, let me see how many pips that will be. I don't know what happened to my chart right now. I think I mistakenly, okay. So if you are taking advantage of that opportunity, you will currently be running with about let's see, about 23 pips in profit, which is not bad for a start. Let's see how far price action will be going for today. And please ensure that you've moved your stop losses to secure this current sell position, because anything could still happen, as we are back at a very strong area known for buying power. And for the last couple of weeks now, this level along the key level area has been a strong buying niche, as sellers have always struggled when it gets into that area. So as a result of this situation, ensure you move all stop losses on your sell position, and let's wait out and see how price action will be reacting to the zone to determine what our next line of action will be. And considering the bearish expectation in this market, a breakthrough of this structure and retest on our lower time frame would be a very, very beautiful opportunity to join a decline to the downside. So let's keep this in mind. Mark these levels out on your chart, as we are going to be using it as a reference point to guide further trading opportunities today. But if it so happens that we begin to see some buy pressure resume around this area, I wouldn't be thinking of buying yet, because price could still just come back to retest the 144.450 or even the trend line here to incite a trend continuation to the downside. But I want to look out for significant confirmations to join a bullish move, like higher lows and higher highs, breakout of significant levels. If that happens, then we can consider buying while we move all stop losses as soon as price action tests the 144.450. So that is how we are going to be managing this trade on the USDJPY for today. So let's protect our current sell position. And from the fundamental aspect of this market, I would also want to call our attention to what the situation is looking like from a higher time frame. And this has to do with the possibility that the Bank of Japan could intervene in this market, considering how the Japanese yen has been dropping since the beginning of the year. And if I reiterated the comments made by Suzuki on Friday of last week's trading session, when he mentioned that if the shorting continues, then the Bank of Japan will have no choice than to intervene in this market. And when they intervene, they are going to be a massive buy of the yen, and this might result in a very strong bearish move to the downside. And one thing that also is peculiar with the structure is that when price got into that 145.00 area last year, that was when the Bank of Japan intervened in this market. And right now, price action is just right at the doorstep of the 145.00 area, and you can see what has been going on here. In the last 4 to 5 days, we have been seeing a consolidation phase as market participants are now very cautious, as we are not sure if the Japanese government will be intervening at any time soon. And if that is going to be happening, trust me, we are going to be seeing a very strong, massive move to the downside. But if that does not happen, a breakout of the 145.00 area could be another opportunity to be part of a very strong move to the upside. But any move out of this area is going to be very, very massive. So you want to mark this out. Anything above this, around this area, a breakout or breakdown of the structure here is going to be very massive. So let's keep this in mind. So going back into the 1 hour time frame, we've already have a setup marked out. So we are definitely going to be using it to guide our trading activity for this week. So we already have the range here. So let's see how price action plays out on this current market structure. So that is my view here on the USDJPY for today. If you have questions, you have inquiries, or you need me to shed more light in a particular area on this current market structure, feel free to let me know in the comment section. And trust me, I am here and willing to be of help in that regard. So 10, 15, 20 seconds, I'll stay here waiting for questions before we call it a day on the Xtrendspeed Live. All right. So in the absence of no questions, I want to assume that we're on the same page here. So it has been a wonderful moment out here with you guys, and we were able to take on 5 financial instruments for today. The US All, USTech100, GBPUSD, USDJPY, and of course the XAUUSD, and we were able to look at the current market structure from a comprehensive price action based technical analysis to identify potential trading opportunities ahead of the New York session. So I'm very confident that we are well equipped and ready to capitalize on any potential opportunity. I hope you marked out your levels on your chart and let's see how the market will play out in the next couple of hours. Trust me, trust the process, and let's see how things will work out going forward. Mark out your levels, allow your structures to mature before jumping into any positions. Once you see a breakout of structure, scale down to your lower time frame, 3 minutes, 5 minutes time frame, even your 1 minute time frame. Look out for retest of structure, confirming that a momentum is building up towards that breakout direction before joining any move. So it's on this note I want to wish you best of luck today. And for those who joined us for the first time, I hope you are able to gain one or two things from what we discussed here. But trust me, the more time you spend with us, the better you will become in understanding how this works here, and eventually use the information you have here to make your independent decisions on your own account. So once again, I wish you best of luck today, and I look forward to seeing you all same time tomorrow, 10 a.m. UTC, 11 a.m. West African time, as we come here again to review how well these instruments have been doing, and at the same time get ready for the New York session tomorrow. Do have a wonderful evening, everyone. Bye-bye.